Hello and welcome to Mutant Year Zero, a strategy role-playing game that came out this week. Strategy role-playing games, my absolute favourite genre. I love them. So when this one was announced, I followed it with interest, and after watching a bit of footage, decided it was probably going to be right up my alley, and I was not wrong. It's a game that I am thoroughly enjoying at the moment. So if you are familiar with strategy role players, particularly XCOM, you'll be pretty much instantly at home with Mutant Year Zero. The combat, or the turn-based element of the combat, is exactly the same as XCOM. 2 movement phases, 1 movement phase, you can then take an action. 2 movement phases, you can't take an action. We'll see some combat in a little while. The main difference between Mutant Year Zero and XCOM is that with XCOM you do a mission, return to your base, you upgrade your base to unlock more stuff, you go on a mission, etc, etc. Whereas with Mutant Year Zero, as you can see here, you have explorable areas. So it is not a game that has a base that's upgraded. There is a central hub, which is where you upgrade weapons, purchase new items, and also get relics, which we'll talk about in a second. But the majority of the game is set in these explorable open areas which have enemies in them, as you can see here, which means that you can go in, you can search around, you're going to be picking up scrap, which is to buy new equipment. You can get weapon parts, which weirdly enough are for upgrading your weapons, and you can pick up relics, and relics will give kind of team-wide perks. So those are really the 3 currencies, and the only 3 kind of like base management type things. You go back to the Ark, which is your central hub, and in the Ark you are able to upgrade weapons, and you can return to the Ark at any point you like. The biggest difference between this and XCOM is this stealth mechanic. So right now I'm going to stealth kill this character here. So from cover I should be able to take him out. Each character will eventually be able to be equipped with a silenced weapon, and provided you're able to take the enemy out like that with the silent weapons, when it's not in sight of another character or another enemy, you just return back to exploration, and you can slowly wander around, scoping out the area, scoping out your your enemies, and then laying up ambushes for them, so you can slowly thin out the herd, so you can start killing enemies to make sure that when actual turn-based combat starts, you have fewer people to deal with. And that's what I'm doing here at the moment, sneaking Dux. This is Dux, he is a mutant duck. So, story. It's post-apocalyptic. Humanity is now confined to a place called the Ark, which is the last place where humanity survives. And as the moment, I don't know why there are mutants around, but there are mutants, these guys, and the mutants go out into the world to scavenge supplies to keep the Ark running and keep humanity safe. The mission here is to find a particular mutant who has been kidnapped and is very valuable to the future security of the Ark. This is Selma. Selma is kind of ranged sniper-y class. She's someone who's great for high ground. I'll talk about some of the abilities in a minute. But what I've done is I've put Dux and I put Selma into cover. So that means that they can't be seen. Even if that hunter moves, so long as you are hidden, if you go into his visual range, even if he walks straight past you, they can't see you. So you're absolutely safe in hidden cover when you're in this kind of explore mode. This is Bormin. Bormin is a mutant pig. He is your tank. And now I'm moving him into position because that hunter's got more health than those 2 characters can take out with stealth. So I now want to bring Bormin into the picture so I can get him into his position to take the final shot, because I don't think I've got a silenced weapon from him at this point. But if I'm far enough away from the main group of people, I can actually use a louder weapon to finish this guy off. So there's his vision cone. The main mechanic, or the stealth mechanic, is achieved very simply. When you're free exploring, when you're just wandering around, you have a torch. And the torch means you move at a normal walking speed or a slight jog, and it takes you through the environment more quickly. If you turn your torch off, you go into stealth mode. And with the torch on, enemies can see you from further away. With a torch off, they can't. So I've just used Dux there with a silenced crossbow to take this hunter. Then Selma enemy heard me, but it's only that enemy. So long as I kill him, he's not able to alert anyone else. If I fail on this, if I miss and I don't take him down in this phase, he will scream his head off and all of his mates will come after us. So there's a kind of a bit of a risk-reward thing going on here. Now, Borman's only got a 50% chance to hit there, so I want to move him slightly. I'm going to move him around a bit. Now, even if I'm seen at this point, it doesn't matter, provided I kill that particular guy. So Borman is going to take that final shot. And hopefully, there we go, 75% chance to hit. And again, if you've played XCOM, you're very familiar with this. This game is based on a role-playing game, a board game. And they're dice rolls. There is, RNG in here, random number generation. And if you've got a 75% chance to hit, it also means you've got a 25% chance to miss. So there is a bit of risk and reward going on here, and just recently I completely and utterly messed up a stealth thing, and I had all hell brought down on me, because the one thing you have to understand about Mutant Year Zero, it's flipping hard. There is no easy setting, it's normal or hard or really hard are the settings that you've got. On normal, you generate all of your health at the end of your turn, and enemies don't hit quite so hard. And by don't hit quite so hard, they generally take you for at least 3 or 4 damage, considering, well, you see that I had his torch on then, so the vision was wider. We're going to try and take out this sect butcher. But yes, well, excuse me. On normal, you gain all health at the end. Enemies don't hit quite so hard, but they hit for 3 or 4 damage. And if you can see Salma there, those little green dots are her health. So if she's hit for 4 damage, that's half her health gone. Not fun. So it is hard even on normal. On the harder settings, there's permadeath. There is much more damage that the enemies do. In the hard mode, you only recover half of your health at the end of the phase, and on very, very hard mode, you don't recover any health at the end of a thing, and you have to use med packs to repair yourself. And here we go. I think this is the last stealth kill that I do. We're going to take out this sect butcher and then engage in combat. So I've essentially now taken out 1, 2, 3 of the enemies, which is going to make my life so much easier. Earlier on, I messed this up entirely. I didn't know all of these guys were up in this building on the high ground. Stealth killed one guy and went into the fight thinking I could manage, and got my face completely owned. But there we go, that's nice. Now we've taken 3 enemies, I've got less to worry about. Right, so in terms of characters, you start with 2. Borman and Dux are the first 2 characters you get. Borman is, like I said, the boar. He's a tank. He's all about soaking up damage and dealing damage, so give him your big, powerful, close-range weapons and buff his health up really early. Dux is a kind of a stealthy guy. He gets some buffs at when he's on higher ground, but also has a sweet crossbow that he's equipped with to begin with. And an ability that increases his critical hit chance, which for stealth kills again is very useful. I'll talk about abilities in a second. Selma here, like I said earlier, she's again distance sniper type class. She's got an ability that you can unlock early on that means she can get up on high ground without having to use ladders when she's in combat. So that means that you equip her with a long range high powered weapon, stick her high ground, and just snipe people away. And she's got a really nice gun at the moment, can hit from miles away. Other characters, I've only unlocked 1 more at the moment. He's got some interesting abilities which are more kind of psychic based, so he can control enemies a bit like some of the enemies in XCOM. He can take control of enemies, which means they fight for you for a couple of rounds. And he's also got a chain lightning attack, which is a nice kind of crowd control thing. There is another character. She looks like a mutant fox, but I haven't unlocked her yet. She has been published, but I haven't got to that. The thing is, and this is my slight gripe with a game that otherwise I really like, is that you can only take a maximum of 3 characters into battle. Now, this is a personal thing, but I've always preferred games that let me take more in, particularly minimum 4. My favourite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy IX, and the reason for that is you can take 4 characters into battle, and also Vivi, because Vivi is one of the best characters in a computer game ever. It would have been nice to have an extra, be able to take 4 characters into battle, because there are more tactical options. But at the same time, this game plays incredibly well, and the tactical elements of it are very well thought out, and 3 is it makes it challenging, I suppose, and that's one of the reasons why you put an additional character in there. It might make the combat a little bit too easy, and it's not the point of this to be easy, it's the point of it to be difficult. The skill trees are unlocked through leveling up, so your health doesn't level up. So you can see I'm level 14 here. Your health doesn't level up when you level up. When you level up, you get skill points, and skill points are spent on abilities. With Bormin, he's got a whole tree which is just about getting more health into his into him, because he's the tank. Whereas the others, there's a health tree, if you like, and there is your skills tree. Bormin's health tree is all about health, so he's got 4 points additionally that he can put into his health through leveling up. Whereas Duck's, his is health and movement, so one level he can upgrade health, next level he can upgrade his movement speed so he can cover more ground. And then the skills themselves are many and varied. There's a typical run and gun. So Selma and Bormin can do run and gun, which means you can take 2 movement actions and still be able to shoot an enemy. Ducks here has got moth wings that you can unlock at one point, which allows him to fly vertically straight up, which means all the buffs that he has in terms of getting additional critical hits from elevation come into play there. So there's generally 3 skills that you can activate, and then there are passive skills that you get as well. So I'm just trying. These pyros are a nightmare. They throw Molotov cocktails which do damage over time. So I want to take this guy out before I actually step in and join the fight proper. And if I manage to kill him without making any noise, which I can't because Bormin currently doesn't have a silenced weapon, but if I took him out without making any noise, there's a possibility that I wouldn't have alerted anyone else. As it stands, don't have a silenced weapon for Bormin at the moment. He goes last, makes a lot of noise, and then normal combat will engage. And you'll see a little bit of normal combat before I wrap up. Oh yes, and when you blow up a pyro, he drops his Molotov cocktail, and if mates are around him, they will catch fire, which is wicked. So, in terms of combat, you'll see this happening now. I managed to thin the ground out, so now 4 guys are down. These hunters are a pain in the bum. They can hit from quite a long way away and like to be in high cover. This guy here has got some mental abilities, and this sect butcher is melee. But now I'm only fighting 3 guys instead of 7, which makes life so much easier, although this brother Bodin has got a shed load of health. So 2 movements. Here we've got Bormin's going to have a go. He's got run and gun. Have I activated run and gun? Yes. So run and gun means I can take 2 movements. He's going to run straight through the fire, which sets him on fire, which is a bit of a pain, but he's got tons of health and it's not too much of a bother. Now he's got a 100% chance. He's given himself a much better position to have a go at this brother Bodin, and I want to kill this guy because he can do a huge amount of damage, but also can buff other players or other enemies. So go on, hit him. Critical chance isn't very good here, but I've got 100% chance of hitting it. It's worth taking. Poor Bormin on fire there. It's your go, so you have 3 turns. So Selma at the moment, she's got a nice high-powered weapon. But one of the problems with this particular high-powered weapon... Oh no, sorry, that's Ducks. Yeah, the crossbow, it does a lot of damage, but it only has 1 piece of ammo, so you have to waste a turn reloading it all the time if you want to use it. So we're going to get him. Nice. If you look at Brother Bodin, there's 2 little diamonds on the right hand side of his health bar. That's armour. So that means that each time you go for him, 2 hit points of damage will be absorbed. So you do need quite a high powered weapon to make it worthwhile with him. Selma's got a nice long range, I think it's a rail gun actually, which does a ton of damage, but again only one piece of ammo per shot. Where am I going to put her? She's got a really nice ability as well, where you upgrade her and half cover becomes full cover. So she's really good for shooting people at a distance and taking as little damage as possible. Right, there's my 3 goes. Now they're going to have a go. There is an ability, as you can see there on the X at the beginning, to speed up your enemy movements. So I like watching it all play out. I find I get a better sense of what's going on in the battle. But you can speed it up so you don't have to wait around for all of this to do. Now, the cool thing is, if I take out Father Bodin, it will also kill the hunter. So that is generally what you want to do if you can. It's like exactly the same in XCOM actually, with it's the little grey men, the little guys who can buff other players. If you take them out, it blows up the heads of the person they're actually they're controlling. So for me, I just want to take him down. Only got a 50% chance to hit though, which isn't great. So you can see what's going on here. It is far more open. What this stealth mechanic is good because I've actually stealthed into or gone into areas which are much higher level than I am, and as a result I can go into stealth, avoid combat, and pick up weapons and armor and scrap and weapon parts on the field, and then just sneak back out again or fast travel back to the Ark to upgrade it. She missed, should have moved her there really. Bormin's going to have a good old go though. Bormin's got a knockback on this particular weapon which is really good. One of the most irritating enemies you've got are medbots, these little bots that revive characters, but it takes a round to revive a character. So if you've got Bormin's gun and he's got knockback on it, you can just knock them out of the way, knock them over so they're interrupted in their healing. So wrapping up, this is basically a post-apocalyptic version of XCOM. 3 characters, works in very much the same way, and upgrades, although they're more kind of mutant and fantasy based, the upgrades are not dissimilar to the things that you will be getting in something like XCOM. It is attractive to look at. The chatter that goes on between the characters as you traverse the environment is really fun. Lots of environmental storytelling as well. Ducks missed, flipping heck ducks, come on mate. And it is, as far as tactics are concerned, particularly because of the addition of this stealth mechanic, is so much more interesting. It really is very interesting, and it makes you more cautious, it makes you take more time, and adds quite an incredible element to what's going on. I really enjoy this element of stealth. It makes you think a lot harder about what's going to be going on in the game. Hopefully he's going to hit him this time. Boink, got him, 2 damage, lovely. That gun did 4 damage, but I say 2 damage was absorbed by the armour. That hunter's got 3 armour, flipping heck, I'd like a piece of that. So, Mutant Year Zero is wicked fun. I'm probably about 5 or 6 hours into it now. This footage is taken from about 2 to maybe 2.5 hours in. I'm about, I would say, about a third through the game at the moment. It is interesting, it is fun, it is challenging. If you don't like hard games, do not play this game. You will you will have a horrible time with it, you really will. But I love it. I can't wait to get through it and see what happens. It's relatively inexpensive. It's 30 quid I think to buy on PlayStation at the moment, so it's not a full price game, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who loves their strategy role-playing games. It's great fun, it's worth your time. If you like this video, give it a like. If you think someone else will like it, give it a share. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, just click the subscribe button that's floating around on the screen right now. Have a fabulous gaming week, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye for now.